have no idea what to do. I knocked up our cleaning lady's daughter and my racist parents are not happy about it. But then there was something that made them change their mind.
Maybe OP's dad is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and so he's used to knocking up his cleaning ladies.
Some info. My parents for years had the same cleaning lady. I was somewhat friendly with her daughter who was around my same age.
Oh yeah, you were friendly.
Quite friendly. But it didn't become a thing until we were 20. I was back home from college for winter break. We got to spend some time together and then I went back to school. Well, that time that we spent together resulted in her getting pregnant, only I didn't know it at the time. She didn't want to tell anyone who it was because she was scared for her mom's job and me possibly rejecting the baby. That is
a tricky situation.
Tough position to be in. After I finished college, I tried to reach out to her again, and that's when I found out. My son was 3 years old at the time. We did a paternity test to find out that I was indeed the father.
That's why you wrap it.
My parents showed their true colors after I told them. I should add that my son's mom's side is Cuban, so now our child is half Cuban. They always gave subtle racist stuff every now and then.
What would they say?
I guess we'll find out. But this was the first time I saw them as full-blown racist a-holes. They denied my son being family, even after the paternity test. They accused my son's mom of being a gold digger, tampering with paternity results to try to trap me into taking care of her kid.
Damn. I love how like OP doesn't think any of this though.
Yeah, they say all this as if a court DNA test was gonna lie. Unfortunately, they did fire her mom, but she did manage to find work. For all these reasons, I stopped having contact with my parents for 3 years.
Oh my God,
then.
that's a while. So now his kid's 6.
I'm with my son's mom now, and we've been living together for a while. A few months ago, I got a surprise visit from my grandma on my dad's side. She finally found out why I'm not in the family anymore, and she wanted to meet her great-grandson. Luckily, she is not like the rest of my family, and she was really mad when I heard the whole story.
Wow.
As she should be.
How could you just disown your own son and grandson?
My grandma ended up making lots of changes to her will, and she says that she wants my son to have a piece.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's big. No coincidence that once this happened, my parents were suddenly wanting to come around to reconcile.
Oh, now that you're getting cut from the will.
I have a feeling that she probably took them out of the will.
I'm with OP on this one.
And most of their wealth actually came from her. Because I'm rejecting them for being in our lives, my mom decided to post a pic of my son on Facebook recently to say happy birthday for his 6th birthday. You really think this is gonna work?
No.
One Facebook post.
Try 10.
I saw it because my sister sent it to me. It's her venting about not being in her grandson's life and to tell him happy birthday.
It's almost like your racism is affecting you negatively.
A lot of people were giving her sympathy on this post.
Oh, come on.
I could see her being able to bamboozle from on Facebook pretty easily.
Of course.
So I commented, remember how you said you didn't want a brown baby in the family?
No, I did not say that.
Yup. Within an hour, got some reactions, and my mom ended up deleting the post. Some in our family say that I was an a-hole for embarrassing my mom online, where she was only venting her frustrations. And so I should have left it at that. My mom is mad too for using a mistake she made back then to humiliate her to her friends and other family who saw the post and are now being negative towards her. It's hard to feel like I am the a-hole when I just called her out when she tried to pull the victim card. So am I the a-hole? Ladies and gentlemen, you know the drill. Was OP the a-hole here? Would you have done anything differently in OP's shoes?
Well, it doesn't sound like the parents have actually made good. Show me that you actually freaking care.
Sam, she ended racism.
I don't think OP necessarily did anything wrong.
Handled
the only thing
well,
I would say is like allow them to show you that they've actually changed.
I would say, okay, like sit down. What is there? Go beyond your Facebook post.
Exactly. And like seems like they didn't care until money was involved. So I don't know. But what would you do?
Tell
Let
us what
know.
you think.
My mom stole $20,000 of my wedding money and gave it to my stepsister. The fallout is worse than I could have imagined. You don't need that much money for a wedding. Come on, just go to a courthouse, pay $60.
Piece of paper, come on.
My stepsister was going to get married this summer, but due to COVID, she had to postpone. Unfortunately, she ended up losing a lot of her deposits, and now her budget is less than half of what it used to be.
Ouch.
That sucks. She also has to buy a new dress/bridesmaid's outfit because she's now deciding to have a winter wedding instead. She's having to start from scratch.
Also, is this like a Jon Snow like wedding dress? Like what are we doing here for the
like
winter
fur
wedding
coats,
dress?
like a polar bear.
The wedding is coming.
I am also engaged, but we're still in the early stages of planning and recently decided to try to figure out what our potential budget would look like. My mom and stepdad have saved wedding funds for each of us, which are $10K each. This is money we've always known we'd receive for our weddings, and my siblings have already received all of theirs. I was FaceTime with my mom, and she asked me about the wedding planning, and I mentioned that my fiance and I had opened a separate bank account for our wedding funds. I asked her if she could directly transfer the wedding fund into it when she was free. She started being a little weird and avoided the question and then changed the subject. I got upset and asked her yet again. And she told me that they couldn't help with the wedding.
Excuse me?
You think you're getting that 10K? No way. I asked her what she meant, and she admitted my stepdad had given the money to my stepsister. I asked her why he would do that, and she mentioned how my stepsister had lost so much of her original budget due to the pandemic, and she would have to dramatically downsize her wedding. She came to them and begged to have my wedding fund, and my stepdad agreed, as my stepsister and her fiance both work low-paying jobs and wouldn't be able to save the money up themselves in time.
I could never imagine doing such a thing.
The stepdad wants her to have that wedding, give her different money.
Yeah. Well, where's your wallet,
Come on,
stepdaddy?
Stepdaddy, I thought you were filthy rich. My stepdad's justification is that my fiance comes from a quote-unquote filthy rich family, and that his family could make up the difference for what they would no longer be contributing. Apparently, he made a nasty joke about how fiance's dad was going to throw money at our wedding anyways, and that maybe they should ask him to pay for stepsisters too.
What
They're going all the way to the top. I was upset, and so I ended the call. My mom has been calling me nonstop since, and has even asked my other sister to call me and tell me to answer her calls. Also, move on the stepsister's part, I think, too.
For real?
When I told my sister what happened, she was angry but not surprised because my stepdad has done similar things in the past. You've always heard of the evil stepmother, but never hear about the evil stepdad until now. Example, he gave part of my sister's college fund to the same stepsister because she wasted her monthly allowance partying. My mom and stepdad have also sent me texts telling me I have no right to be upset over what they chose to do with their money. My stepdad even said that since I'm petty, he's glad he never gave me a cent for my wedding. The more I calm down, the more I'm starting to wonder if I'm being a childish asshole. It's not like I've booked anything yet and now we'll have to change plans. My dad also contributed to my sister's wedding, and I'm sure he'll offer to do the same for me. But then the other part of me wonders, if it had been my stepbrother's wedding fund, would my stepdad be so quick to give it to my stepsister? So, am I the a-hole? We want to know what you think right this second, so tippy tap in those comments. But John, what do you think?
I do kind of get what they're saying, where it's like, hey, ultimately this is our money that we were going to give this to you. But then it's just like, why make all these promises and then why like rip it away at the last second? Ultimately, is OP entitled to the money? I would have to say no, probably. Yeah. But it's definitely an a-hole move to do what they did.
Yeah, to promise it and take it away.
Exactly.
I feel it's also showing massive favoritism from the stepdad.
My BFF just showed my husband screenshots of me cheating, but everything changed after the paternity test for our baby. I, 25 female, don't even know where to start because I am devastated. My friend, 25 female, and I were best friends for over 10 years before all of this happened. She was my sister, my friend, the person I trusted most. But to her, I was never anything, because if I had meant something to her, she wouldn't have stabbed me in the back because I married the man that she wanted.
This sounds like a rivalry.
This is very important because she did all this to me for that very reason. 8 years ago, we both met my husband, now 29 male, in college. We were in our first year and he was the assistant to one of our professors. The three of us became very good friends until he and I started dating. At that time, my best friend never told me that she had feelings for him, so I never questioned my relationship with him. During all these years, I trusted her with very important things about my husband and myself. However, the last thing was the most important thing that I ever told her, and that was that I got pregnant.
Yeah, why is it important? I don't get it.
I told her before I told my husband. I did this because I trusted her with my whole life. And when the test came back positive, we both cried because it was a planned baby. She seemed so happy, and now my chest hurts knowing that all of that was fake.
Wait, I'm very confused where this is going to go wrong.
Now, 6 months have passed since that day, and my husband started acting weird. He was always mad at me for absolutely no reason until I'd had enough and I confronted him. He told me that he's mad at me because he knows the truth. Huh? I asked him what he was talking about.
You can't handle the truth!
And he showed me all of the infidelity evidence.
What?
There were chats from a dating app between a man and myself.
What?
And I use that in quotes because I never created this account. Someone else did and used my photos. Photos that I never posted publicly online, but I had on my phone.
Yikes. That looks pretty
Could you
bad.
imagine?
That looks pretty bad.
Now, in these chats my husband showed me, I told this man that I was pregnant, but I didn't know if it was his or my husband's baby. That is bad.
Oh, frick, bro.
Yep. In those chats, there was even conversations talking to that man about recent hookups while I was pregnant and things like that no other husband or wife wants to read about their partner.
Oh.
Ouch.
How did he get these screenshots though?
I told my husband that everything was fake and that I wanted to know where he got those screenshots from. And he told me that they're screenshots from my old phone, a phone that I supposedly used to talk to other men. He told me and revealed that it was my best friend that had told him everything.
No way. Dude. After your friend is pregnant, you're going to try to sabotage her marriage?
She said she did it because she couldn't look him in the eye anymore, knowing the truth.
That also just looks so bad for OP.
Oh, it's like, what do you say? Like you just look so guilty.
Bad. You look so, it's like, why would your friend of 8 years turn against you unless it was really on
right?
her conscience?
A friend, by the way, that the husband is equally like best friends with.
Yeah.
Like they're like a buddy group.
Yeah, they're like the Harry Potter squad.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Apparently, she knew about my infidelities and told him to look for evidence on my old phone, and he did, and that's why he's been acting weird for the past few weeks.
She planned this so well.
Dude,
honestly,
like,
if I'm seeing all that evidence, there's no way I'm believing my wife.
Of course, I told him that my friend is lying and that she probably used my phone without me knowing to do that I had never created any account, and that I never slept with another man other than him my whole life. We had a fight, so we called her to confront her, but all she said was that she was sorry, but that she no longer wanted to keep lying to one friend to save the other's butt, aka throws OP right under the bus. We had a horrible fight, but she was calm as an effing psycho, insisting that I was a cheater. And I couldn't convince my husband that it was all a lie because the evidence indicates that I'm guilty.
It does.
It does.
It's very, very evidence stacked against you.
Yeah. So he was furious and told me to pack my stuff and get out, that he wanted a divorce and a paternity test.
My dog stepped on a bee.
I went to my mother's house and we did the paternity test, which obviously indicates the baby is his. But still, he didn't believe me that I didn't cheat on him. We had a few more fights after we did the paternity test, and I ended up in a hospital because of the stress. My goodness.
Really?
And apparently that made my so-called friend see reason, because then she told my husband that everything he saw was fake and that it was she who made both accounts.
Wow.
She admits she did it.
That's
she
a good friend.
So both mine and the man's account I was supposedly cheating with.
That's just so much work.
When you're a psychopath, it seems so easy.
Yeah, well, do what you love.
She said that she did it because she was jealous because since I'm pregnant and he doesn't pay attention to her anymore. She is very good friends with both of us since we all met him together. And that she lost her mind and acted in the worst way possible.
Yeah, don't say.
You think that she never thought any of this would go this far, and that
What do you mean you made it go that far?
What do you think would happen? She thought that he'd just get mad for a few days and then forgive me because he loves me too much and he'd forgive me for anything.
I am so glad she thinks that, because if she didn't, she probably wouldn't have said anything.
Since she confessed all of that, he apologized in 1,000 ways, and we've talked about what happened. And we decided to give ourselves the space we need, and we will start going to therapy, but I don't know if it's going to be enough now. Our relationship is at its worst. It's screwed up, and I'm afraid that we can't work this out. out. And how could we? We said and did horrible things. During a fight, he told me to pack my stuff. He refused and he grabbed me by the arm to do it. And he was hurting me, so I pushed him and he hit a piece of furniture. And that's when he took me by my arms again and was shaking me. But he's much stronger than me. Not only am I skinny compared to him, but he's also really tall. And when he did that, it hurt me. I don't know if we can be who we were in the past again. In the past, we almost never fought. And if we did, there was never anything like that involved. How can we fix this other than therapy? There is an update, but I have to check in with you really quick.
God.
And everyone in the comments. I mean, honestly, I guess my question is like, what do you do? Like,
well, I mean, I guess like I'm thinking like, all right, like in turn, I want to know your guys' like asshole angel order. For me, obviously the friend, psycho asshole.
Yeah, of course.
Psycho asshole.
Of course.
The boyfriend, I think he's innocent bystander. Same with OP. And I don't think you can blame the boyfriend for being like for thinking that she cheated. And also like his mind was just so fucked with. Like I would give it 3 months.
3 months?
3
time
months.
limit?
3 month time limit. Like commit to it for 3 months. See if you can bring it back.
Right.
And then if you can't, then wait. How many months would you give?
3 to 6 months, probably.
I'd say 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
3 to 6 months.
There
Or
we
maybe
go.
we can make a formula like amount of time in relationship divided by 6.
Things have gotten a lot better since then. We have talked to my now ex-friend and she
Wait. I wasn't fully in it. That's awesome.
We talked to my now ex-friend and she admitted to using my old photo to create the fake profile and also to message the other man. She used that phone when she came to my house every day since we had a business together.
No, they had a business together too. How were there no red flags? How?
And it's not like Ariana's going to come to you in a few days and be like, hey, John showed me this really weird thing. You know, don't worry. I'm not going to do that.
God, bro. Damn.
Oh, goodness.
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you too, buddy. She knew where the phone was, and she also knew that no one ever used it. So she had everything perfectly planned out, which is scary because she really needs help. Yes, she does. I mean, with all this, it's more than clear that she is a psychopath and needs help. She said all the things she did. And she had even told my husband that she drove me to meet the man so many times. So she lied about like that she was driving her friend to hook up with this guy.
Oh my God.
And that I made her pay with her credit card for the hotel where I met the man. And the truth was that I had never actually even been in any of those hotels, but all of her evidence was right there and it looked so real that of course he believed her.
Wow.
It won't be easy, but we are willing to work hard so that everything will get better by the time our baby arrives in a few weeks.
Oh, wow.
And that's why we started individual and couples therapy.
That's good. That's good for the
Yeah.
baby too.
Yes. We promise each other that it will never happen again, and we will do everything possible so that it won't happen again. So that is all.
Holy, this
Yeah.
friend. Dude, I mean, when you have friends like that, why do you need enemies? Like, holy shit. Dude.
Literally, like, I mean, one of the most diabolical, evil, like most planned out, like attacks I think we've
and it's
seen.
like also kind of what's crazy is like these like psychopaths like live among us. It's like 1 in 20 people is a psychopath.
Really?
1% of the general population may have psychopathic traits. You know 300 people.
Yeah.
You know 3 psychopaths. Who's the most psychopathic person that you've met?
I won't say his name, but it rhymes with damn Sonner. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, actually, great question. 1 out of
Yeah.
every 100 people is a psychopath. Who in your life is the most psychopathic person that you've ever met? Or are you
the
one?
psychopath? I mean, we
Yeah.
have thousands of people watching right now. Let us know, guys. Drop your psychopaths in the comments. My girlfriend ghosted me, but turns out that she was forced into an arranged marriage. That won't stop my love. I have a plan. So, I, 26 male, was dating this girl, 25 female. We had been dating for over a year, but she came from a very, very strict Indian family. She said she was lucky that they allowed her to work.
Oh, shit.
And they would be extremely against her dating someone that they wanted her to get married to a guy of their choice.
OP, you better get in with the parents or you're screwed.
Ooh.
Yeah, fuck your mom.
We met at college, ended up at the same company, and we've done it several times.
OP, wow.
Whoa,
A
hold your
little bit
horses.
Too much several times. Oh my God.
Which she said was a big no-no, so she wanted to keep it a secret, which I did. 8 months ago, out of the blue, I received a message from her. It said we were done, and she didn't want me to contact her ever again.
OP, you saw this coming. You didn't f her mom fast enough.
Or your D game was just so trash. She just had to get out.
Two pump chump each time. Wait, just really quick. I feel like two pump chumps are evolutionarily advantaged because they can spread their seed in the quickest amount of time.
Now, we hadn't had a fight. In fact, we had a romantic dinner just the night before, and yet I still got this message. I called her several times, sent her texts and everything. I even planned to go to her house to talk to her, but decided against it due to her family. I even tried to call some friends of hers, but they just said that she had ghosted them too.
Oh, so she cut everyone off.
I was heartbroken, and after 2 months, I finally decided to get back out there, but I just couldn't find someone with the same spark. I had basically given up on dating and started focusing on my career, and I recently even landed a very high-paying job.
Hey, congrats. At least you got something to occupy your time in between crying.
Well, yeah, I was happy yet lonely.
How happy are you?
3 days ago, I got a message from one of her friends. She said my ex was at her place and had been there for nearly a week, and she was asking to meet with me.
Oh.
I was hesitant and asked her if she was playing a cruel joke on me after the way we broke up, to which the friend broke down crying to my surprise, and she said that she couldn't explain over the phone.
Curiosity is piqued, my dear.
I went there, and sure enough, my ex was sitting there. She looked thinner, a bit paler, and very sad. She saw me, started crying, and hugged me, and then we sat down to talk. She said her family had seen us together, and when she went home that night, she was yelled at. She lives in a big joint family, so her parents, grandma, 3 uncles, and aunts, and 13 cousins all lived under the same roof.
Wow.
She said that they took away her phone, prevented her from going to work or contacting anyone. That's gotta be
crazy.
That's gotta be
illegal,
kidnapping, right?
Yeah.
I have to imagine. She said they had pressured her into telling them how far our relationship had gone, and when it was revealed that she wasn't a virgin,
She got a high five. Hey, yo.
nice one. No, actually the opposite. Her family went berserk. They shifted her to their rural village and arranged her marriage with a family friend who is 60 to 65.
Yo.
Remember, she's 25 right now.
That sucks.
And when she tried to refuse, they threatened to kill her.
Oh, fuck. Okay, wow.
My God.
India be crazy.
Old guys are typically rich, can bring honor to their family, etc. It's their sick way of punishing their daughter. She said she played along for a month and that a week or so ago, the marriage date was decided to be in September. She said she told her family she wanted to spend time with her to-be husband and managed to slip away, after which she took a train to get back here. I had moved to a bigger house and wasn't on any social media, so she didn't know where I was and went to her friend. She stayed there for a few days, resting and crying, worried her family would find her before asking to meet me. My goodness. I have no idea what to do here and how to proceed. I love her and I am willing to be there for her, but I have absolutely no idea how. What legal steps can we take? There is an update to this, but
holy shit.
my goodness. I mean, just like, I honestly, I'm kind of at a loss for words. Like,
Wow.
I'm curious from anyone watching who has any insight on this kind of situation. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss, to be honest.
Well, I have to imagine there's something, I don't know the Indian legal system, but
Yeah.
I have to imagine there's something illegal going on here with like detainment because she's 23. So
Yeah, I wonder 25, but
25.
still,
it's crazy that
so evil.
how evil these parents are. Like, I will kill you.
There's like not loving your child and respecting your child. This goes like so many steps beyond it. It's unfathomable.
And I don't know what you do as OP. I mean, you take her in maybe, but it's like now you have these people that are out there trying to fuck some shit up.
I don't know. Should we just get into the update?
I want to hear the update.
Yeah.
Obviously, the parents are assholes.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, not even a question. Oh, wow. First line. we got married.
Congrats, OP.
Congrats. Wow. We married in and I'm going to completely butcher this, in an Arya Samaj Mandir, which is a way of saying that we got married the fastest way possible legally. We got the marriage certificate and made the legal adjustments, changing details on passports, cards, etc. She's seeing a therapist now and is mentally better and isn't that scared now. Her family did find out and they did try to lodge a case that I was holding her against her will or that she was brainwashed by me. Also, it's like literally the classic case of like literally everything you did to her.
Yeah, let's accuse you
My God.
of what we did.
But an affidavit, thanks to Soy Sue's fantastic advice, disproved all that. I think someone in
Reddit actually helped?
That is actually beautiful. Her brother did send me some threats and her dad actually tried to enter my house. But in the end, they had no choice but to accept it and left to go back to their hometown. Me and my wife blocked them on everything and we haven't had any contact with them for a while now. So we don't think there will be a problem anymore. Now that all the legal craziness and family drama has been dealt with, we're going to start adjusting as husband and wife. We're planning a proper wedding celebration with all of our friends who are basically our family. We'll also go on a honeymoon soon. I'm glad that things worked out as well as they could for us, and I'm going to look forward to spending the rest of my life with a fantastic woman.
Oh, I love happy
beautiful.
endings on Reddit.
We moved away, and I won't say where for obvious reasons, but we did, and we are not in the same country anymore. We settled down in this new place nicely and already made some new friends while keeping in contact with old ones. Her family called up some of my friends and asked where we were. I love this. They responded with a simple, I don't know. And they didn't at the time. One of my wife's cousins attacked someone I knew and ended up with a beating he will never forget. My goodness. Kids, it's never a good idea to attack someone who walks around with 3 bodyguards. Holy
wow.
golly gee. Oh man, this one was a insane ride. I'm gonna say what I said earlier. I would love to hear the perspective of some of you all who have been in even a remotely similar situation or have had friends
like
in the
arranged marriage or just like the family not liking you at all and making your relationship difficult. Like, I mean, obviously this is like the extreme of it.
The most.
Yeah, we would love to hear those stories.
Law firm does not want to pay me? Fine. I'll sue them for everything they've got. And am I the a-hole?
I feel like suing a law firm is like, I don't know if you're going to win this one, buddy.
So, some background. I mostly work in a niche area of law called discovery. Basically, when someone starts a legal proceeding, each party gets to ask the others for certain documents relevant to the case.
Riveting.
So one day I see a job board post from a local law firm looking for a research/writing position with required experience in discovery. Well, they're about to discover me. Now, this raises a red flag for 2 reasons. First, local law firms normally don't need to hire someone full-time for research and writing because a ton of the cases are very similar. They don't need it. For example, a personal injury firm normally only handles personal injury cases, so keeping a full-time researcher is not that worthwhile. When these local firms need something researched, they either just do it themselves or pay someone else for just a few hours of work. Second reason, this local firm hired a friend of mine by telling them, start here, work hard, and move up to senior associate in just a few years, before promptly letting them go after a few busy months.
Sell them on the dream and then take it away.
Oh, God. I go ahead and send my resume over and get scheduled for an interview pretty quickly. During that interview, I give them a fairly high salary ask, to which they agreed almost instantly. But OP says, it's a trap. Then the other partner hits me with the following. Partner, we ask all candidates to provide a writing sample before the final interview. Me, sure thing. I thought I attached one to the application, but let me grab my phone to double check. Partner, oh, not that writing sample. That is too generic for our evaluations. Here is a legal question that we want you to research.
I see you. Tricky law firm, men.
But I see you in the comments if you know what's about to happen.
Put it right now.
I see you. Me, I see. I'm more than happy to do that at an hourly rate. Partner, oh, it should be fairly quick work. No other candidate has asked us for writing sample compensation, and this makes it seem like you won't be a team player. If you're not interested in the position, just tell us? Me. Let me think about it. So I go home and get to sleuthing. I search a couple of local court dockets, and wouldn't you know, this firm is involved in a case with the hearing set exactly the discovery question they want me to produce a free writing sample on. I send an email back saying, sure thing, I will make the writing sample, as long as it guarantees consideration for the research and writing position. They say yes. So I write a fantastic memo and then send it in. A few weeks go by and I email asking for an update on the final interview. No response. Then I check the court docket and wouldn't you know, they straight up copied and pasted parts of my memo in the response.
That's so fucked.
Wow. So I send a demand letter for payment plus my fees. No response. Then I file a lawsuit for fraud. And oh baby, then I got a response. A frothy, salty response. This sounds like a premium latte.
Frothy and salty, made with
sea salt and cease and desist. I got called some names. Then they went on and on about how I was going to lose, and after I lost, how they were going to countersue me. I said, sounds good. Can't wait to lose. I guess you really did hire a full-time research and writing attorney. I mean, it would be like Baby Town Frolics easy to win if you never hired for that position. Actually, it would be even easier if you never even had sent a final interview for the spot. I'm sure you aren't that dumb though. I got the check 30 days later. Woo! Oh, baby.
Wow. OP sued the sewers.
You know, the Jedi becomes the master and sues their master.
Well, it's actually the Padawan becomes the master.
Okay.
Padawan becomes the Jedi. But hey, I'm just a Star Wars nerd over here.
Nerd school over here.
But let me know if you've ever been in a lawsuit. Has anyone ever been in a lawsuit?
Oh, we have got to get some good lawsuit stories.
We've talked about a couple of our lawsuits.
That's true. Yes.
We got rear-ended, and like the Lyft driver sued us for rear-ending us.
You gotta love it when they have the audacity to just
go
for it.
My parents want me to marry my sister. My sister is up for it, but that's not even the worst part.
Stepsis minus the step.
Called a flat sis. When I was 5, my parents brought my dad's friend's daughter, about 3, to live with me, and sister, Y, 7. X's family was poor and couldn't support their children. They had 6.
Damn.
So they sent X here because they really trusted my parents. X and Y and I grew up together, and my parents were awesome to all 3 of us. I had a lot of fun growing up, and I'm extremely close to my family. I'm now 29. 3 years back, I went abroad for my master's and then went back to my country. There, I met girl P, and we fell in love, and she fell in love with my P.
Oh. God.
I'd like to propose soon, and it felt like this would be a good time to introduce P to my family. Y already knew of her, and P just graduated. So this weekend, I told my family that I would like for them to meet someone special and set up a video call.
Ooh.
No idea who they were expecting, but when they realized P was my girlfriend, everything blew the frick up. Apparently, they had already discussed and arranged my marriage with X years back. And she was the one that I would have to marry. X was aware of it, and her father told her. Sophie had no idea.
And they raised them together.
I know.
As siblings.
Cue lots of screaming and yelling, including some choice words from X to P about how she's a modern girl. Euphemism in my culture for slut. They said how this modern girl must be after me for my money, even though she comes from a much richer family. I was just too shocked to react initially. The next day, I told my parents that I look at X as family, which makes sense because they were raised as brother and sister. They started saying ridiculous things like, we've never let her into my room, which apparently Y was allowed, and drawing all sorts of other parallels between X and Y, trying to demonstrate why X wasn't like my sister.
It's not like she is your sister. We just raised her like your sister. Come on, 2 different things.
They also said stuff like, no one can understand me better than X, and that she will keep the family together, while P will alienate me from them. They also told me that I am ruining the family.
Yeah, he's really ruining the family.
Forgive me for being old-fashioned, but if you want your son to marry his sister, at least give him a head.
cock.
X also cried nonstop and then shut herself in the room, accusing me of not wanting her only because she was poor, amongst other things. She also said that no one from her village would marry her now because her family has told everyone back home that she's going to marry me. How does everyone know except OP?
Literally villages of people know.
Maybe it's like a classic Redditor situation where they're like the Redditor's just not getting the social cues.
I thought our makeout sessions were just like playing around or
Super
whatever.
platonic.
You know? Yeah, dude, totally. You know, I keep it professional.
My sister was not aware of any of this either. Now, I told X I don't care that no one will marry her from her village.
Oh!
Which is likely a possibility. I don't care that her life is ruined. I also told my parents I won't ruin my life for them to be able to keep their word. X's father is coming to our house once he's able to. Transport restrictions are still in place, but he had a long phone call with my parents. I'm sure a lot of emotional blackmail is to follow, and I already feel really guilty about X because she's a nice girl. My sister is on my side, but even if my parents cut me off and at the risk of X ruining her life, I am not going ahead with this at all. So, am I the a-hole? What do you think? What would you do in this situation if you were supposed to marry your sister and you actually realize that maybe you wanted to marry the hottie that you met elsewhere outside of your family instead? And what would you guys do? Put it in the comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I might need y'all's help on this one in the comment section because I mean, I truly think that OP did everything that he could do, which is like, it's just so crazy how people have these wild scenarios that they're like, just do
this
it.
massive of
Just do it.
miscommunication.
And it's like, I'm not gonna
marry my sister,
change the fabric of my life in this like unimaginably insane way just to appease you.
Absolutely an insane ask. I don't care. I mean, I guess cultural differences or whatever, but I don't really care what country you're from. Like, you shouldn't have to marry your sister.
How dare you, Sam?
All right, I'm gonna go.
All the people
I may get canceled
who are ready to marry their sisters, lift your voices up.
All of Alabama.
Yeah. Yeehaw! We heard you loud and clear, cowboy.
I don't know. What would you do if you were forced to marry your sister? Put your answers in the comments below.
I sold the family's prized heirloom to pay for my destination wedding. Now they're getting revenge, and I think my wedding might be ruined.
Hey, this is just a young budding entrepreneur trying to make it on Facebook Marketplace. It's like, yo, I got this very valuable thing, and then someone's like, all right, I'll pay $50 for it.
My fiance, 38 female, and I, 39 male, are planning to get married this summer. We both want to have quite a lavish wedding at a winery in another state.
Ooh.
Two of us agree that it's the most important occasion in our lives, so we should make it as memorable as possible.
I think most people would agree. I mean, some people do courthouse.
We both have stable jobs and a good amount of savings, but it's not quite enough for the admittedly ambitious plans we have in our heads. My father passed away in January, and in his will, he left me a very valuable, think 5 figures family heirloom. I'm not much for big family traditions, so although it's a nice thing to have, I'm not massively attached to it. I have plenty of other good memories of my father and I don't need a fancy heirloom to remember him by. My brother, 34 male, however, is a huge history nerd and is really, really attached to the family heirloom. He was very upset by my father's decision in the will. The reason it went to me and not him is that this has traditionally been passed to the firstborn sons.
What is this thing? Is it like a sword? Like the sword of Godric Gryffindor?
My fiance and I do not plan on having children, and I think he assumed, therefore, that he or his children would be in line to get the family heirloom if I were to pass away.
It makes sense to like keep it within the family. It's a family heirloom. But money though.
After some discussion, my wife-to-be and I decided that we would like to sell the family heirloom to pay for our wedding. My brother, who is also my best man, was furious when he found out and said that he wanted nothing to do with the wedding anymore. He thinks my wife-to-be and I are behaving like spoiled brats. In addition, he's convinced my uncle and cousins not to come to the wedding either.
Why?
My God, yo.
I guess he must be a really big history buff.
With our parents having passed away, this means that virtually none of my family will attend the wedding, which I'm really upset about. I think since I legally inherited the heirloom, I can do whatever I want with it. I think he's just upset because I ruined his expectations of one day inheriting it. But since my uncle and cousins agree with with him enough that they're not coming to the wedding, I am not sure if I'm in the right. Am I the a-hole?
All right, I mean, we want to hear what you would do. Would you sell your family heirloom for a kick-ass wedding and a bottle of wine? But me, okay, not necessarily the a-hole because OP didn't inherit it and it is OP's and all that, but it is kind of a move to like just sell something that's been in your family for generations and generations. Like if your dad wanted you to sell it, he would have just sold it and given you the money.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good
like,
point.
I think
That's
it's like kind of disrespecting the gift.
That's a great point, but I love disrespecting.
Yeah, like, you know, stuff, who cares? If pile of rotting flesh in the ground.
Hey, Dad, should I sell it? Say nothing if you want me to sell it. Thanks,
There
Dad.
you go. Putting it on Facebook Marketplace right now.
My employee claims she can't use Microsoft Windows because it's against her religion. I might have to fire her.
What religion is that?
The Steve Jobs
Yeah,
religion.
yeah.
He is my leader. I recently hired a new employee for my team. Everyone thinks she's a great addition and she's clearly very talented as demonstrated in her interviews. The problem came up during onboarding when we supplied her with her company laptop. She said she would need it configured in a Linux-based operating system because her religion does not allow the use of Apple or Microsoft-owned operating systems.
What? Her religion is open source.
She says that she can fulfill all job duties without Windows, and I'm inclined to believe her, but corporate policy dictates Windows, and my management is not on board with her request for Linux. There's some hardline sects of Abrahamic religion, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, that go hard in on the idea that you shouldn't use products that benefit from people who do things you don't agree with and or aren't the same religion as you. Maybe she's Latter-day Saints, maybe Amish, I don't know. What actions can either one, I take as manager to protect her rights and get upper management on board with her religion, or two, I take against her with management for failing to fulfill her job duties. I love how OP is literally like, doesn't even care which side
he's just
they
like,
fall on.
I just want to get through this.
Yeah, just like, just tell me the solution. I have never come across any situation like this, and I'm completely confounded as to how I should handle this.
If it's in the job description, it feels a little sneaky to not say so. So I would let her go.
Yeah, I think it depends on how critical that tool is. After many meetings yesterday with management, HR, legal, and IT, we decided to give her a shot. IT is working to come up with a configuration for her that we will also make available to other employees who want to use it. HR and legal felt that although she is able to request accommodation for a sincerely held religious belief, this would have been an undue hardship to the company, and it would be okay for us to deny her request. But ultimately, we decided that she can fulfill her job requirements without Windows. Just found out that she doesn't have an iPhone. She's got an Android. Lol.
Android is open source too, right?
Android is owned by Google.
You don't have a problem with Google?
In their defense, I can't even name another operating system.
Yeah.
Outside
I mean,
of those
get a
three.
flip phone, I guess.
Yeah, just go straight Nokia.
Yeah, Nokia. Yeah, why don't you got a Nokia, huh?
Come on. Grandma Karen wants to steal my dad's horses. He said something to her I will never forget. Backstory. Dad was an English professor and also raised horses, Arabians to be specific. We lived in the Midwest on a 10-acre spread next to cattle ranches and such.
That's a pretty big prop.
That's a cool place to be. Dad was the kind of guy who taught me to try to be kind, never swear in front of a lady, open the door for people, etc., etc. Most of things stuck with me throughout my life, except for the swearing. One day, a Saturday, I believe, a couple of local girls around 12 came over and rang the bell. My dad answered the door and they asked if they could ride our horses. Of course, he politely said no, he couldn't do that and closed the door. Imagine the liability issues if they fell off and hurt themselves.
True.
Very true.
Get sued the shit out of.
That's right. Also, Arabians tend to be high-strung and not too accommodating to inexperienced riders, except for a couple we owned who were total patient sweethearts. And that was that, right? Nope. Or I wouldn't be posting this.
Yeah. Come on. This is Reddit.
That's how it goes. Not more than a half hour later, the doorbell chimes again. I'm in the living room watching TV with Dad, and he answers the door. Standing on the front porch are the two girls again, and someone who I took to be the entitled Nana, Grandma.
Grandmama.
Dad, hello. What can I do for you? Grandma Karen, my granddaughters would like to ride your horses. Oh. Dad, clearly puzzled. I can't do that. You don't even have to pay them much.
The horses?
Dad is confused. For exercising your horses. They'll do it for $2 an hour. Pretty cheap if you ask me. She's asking for pay. What are you talking about?
Insane.
Dad, clearly holding in his temper. I'm sorry, ma'am. but this isn't happening. I have to decline. But your horses can use the exercise.
They look so fat.
Dad, this is not a discussion. Then he does something I've never seen before.
He did a haymaker across Grandma Karen's face.
Pow! He closes the door in Grandma Karen's face mid-retort.
Wow.
I'm standing there, dumbstruck. Dad is staring off in the distance. Slowly he says, "What the fuck?" If monkeys started climbing out of his ass, I wouldn't have been more surprised. Dad slowly turns around to see my 11-year-old self standing there with my mouth wide open. He gives me a sheepish grin and says, "Don't tell your mother." He took me out for Dairy Queen later on, and I've been holding on to this for 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. But I feel him laughing over my shoulder as I write this. We love
That's
a beautiful
cute.
ending.
Yeah, we love a beautiful, but it's also beautiful too how Karens just have existed throughout the ages. Even 40 years ago,
Oh,
Karens were
yeah.
doing their thing, asking to ride your horses and have you pay them.
That's great. Also, $2 an hour like 40 years ago?
Yeah, it's a good amount.
Bro, that's minimum wage.
Yeah.
My God.
Getting away with murder over here.
Well, but you know, maybe we're totally off base.
Yeah.
Maybe Grandma Karen deserves to ride the horses. You can tell us in the comments everything you thought about this story. Maybe Dad was a little bit of the a-hole.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Let us know. My stepdaughter refuses to accept me as her dad, so I told her what she says is the grossest dad joke of all time. Am I the a-hole?
Oh, I want to hear this.
Note, my stepdaughter, Madeline, was about a year old when I married her mother, Jessica. Madeline's father passed away before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad, so I don't have to follow you.
You're my fake dad. My real dad's dead."
Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change.
She meant it. She hates you.
She hates you.
Forever.
I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years. And as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules."
Classic dad thing.
Classic dad move. Is that the dad joke?
That's the dad joke.
That happened about 2 days ago. So our family was going grocery shopping when I heard Madeline say, "I'm hungry. I need food." I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, "Hi, hungry. I am not your dad."
It's juicy. I see the dad
jokes.
joke.
My son just started to laugh uncontrollably, but my daughter was quiet with embarrassment. And my wife berated me to not stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad
I
joke.
think it's funny.
And my son agrees. So am I the a-hole? We got some updates.
So far, I say no. I want to know what everyone else thinks, but I think that's a funny dad joke. And he's putting his own unique new spin on it.
So let's see what happens at this update, okay? So edit, I did adopt her, so I am legally her parent.
Okay.
First mini update. I'll give a full update later, but here's what happened so far. I go to my daughter's room after dinner and begin talking with her. "Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you with the words that I said. And I am really your dad.
All these snowflakes getting so sad over dad jokes. Come
Come
on,
on.
grow some skin.
I changed your diapers. I met your boyfriend. And I plan on helping you through college. And plus, I'm legally your dad, so we're stuck together. But seriously, I am going to love you like my daughter, even if you don't think I'm your dad."
That's pretty cute.
Then I hugged her, and then she did start to cry. I assume that's good. But she was really crying, remembering how terrible your
Dad
disgusting
joke
dad
was.
joke was. Final update. My son has found this post and shared it with my daughter. This was after apologizing to her. She cried again. So last week, we decided to have a father-daughter bonding weekend. Honestly, it was awesome. I took her bowling, to get a manicure, becoming a Disney princess.
That sounds so fun.
I looked awesome as Jasmine.
OP sounds like a great dad.
Yeah.
I feel like a sign of a good dad is a dad that is willing and able to make dad jokes.
She loved it. I loved it. Everyone was happy. Then we decided to go out to eat dinner. So I said, "I'm starving. What do you want, Maddie?" She said, "Hi, starving. I'm not your daughter."
Bam! All comes full circle.
She had the biggest smirk on her face. She hugged me and I kissed her forehead. I'm sure she had been planning this for weeks.
So cute.
Sometimes we just get an adorable, wholesome story.
And we love it.
My homophobic parents kicked out my little brother because he's gay. They have no idea what I'm about to do for revenge. A little backstory. My 26 male little brother is almost 10 years younger than me. He just turned 17. He wasn't expected, though my parents weren't all that old when they had him. And because of that, I haven't been the best big brother to him growing up. I sort of resented him for taking the attention away. Even so, he never returned the resentment.
Aw.
He's always been incredibly sweet to everyone, including me, and that made teenage me even angrier and more resentful.
He's so nice, I can't take it.
Isn't that the classic
Yeah, I
thing?
know.
Like, why is he so nice? Like, oh my God.
It's cool to hate stuff.
Yeah.
I hate my life.
Yeah.
Because I have depression.
Now, I know that it's because of his kindness I was made aware of my own lack of kindness. But at the time, I
Good reflection.
rationalized it as him being a bootlicker. Ooh. I know I was an a-hole. I still regret how I treated him to this day. Eventually, I mellowed out, and just before my undergrad graduation, I talked to him and apologized.
Oh, that's really nice.
Our relationship has been on much better terms since then.
Huge.
But last week, my brother called me crying, saying that he had been outed at school. Our parents blew up and kicked him out. It's a 17-year-old kid.
It's crazy to me that like that still happens in areas of the country
It's
and the world.
so wild. I was livid. I made an online reservation for a motel under his name, and I ordered him an Uber and told him to stay there until I can pick him up. I drove back home right after work, and it was a 10-hour drive.
Wow.
First thing I did when I got there at 3 a.m. was bang on my parents' door and ripped on them. I called them the nastiest names and threatened legal action on them. I yelled at them so loudly and for so long that a neighbor told me he was going to call the cops on me, at which point I just went back to my car and drove away to pick my brother up.
That's a S tier move.
His school offers the option for students to do full online courses due to the pandemic, and he's doing that until the exams.
Cool.
I don't mind taking care of him until he graduates, or even beyond that if he decides to attend a college nearby.
What a goated freaking brother. That's
Seriously.
so awesome.
That's why he's the GOAT!
Now, I've been talking to a lawyer, and since my brother is 17, the age of majority for our country, I can't be accused of kidnapping him. The problem is I've been receiving emails from my parents telling me that I've blown things out of proportions and that I've humiliated them and destroyed their reputation. Guess what? There's this little thing called destroying your own reputation.
And you did just that by your actions. Isn't it
Wow.
crazy? Your actions have repercussions.
Oh
if
my
you're
gosh.
an asshole, people might see it. And then people are going to see it on the internet and say, asshole, 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 asshole.
Apparently, their plan was to pretend to kick my brother out for a few hours to teach him a lesson or something.
What's the lesson here? Don't be gay?
They told me that their neighbors now spread rumors about them being abusive and they might lose their jobs over it. Again,
Repercussions.
both of them are only a couple years away from retirement. And said that I don't have any rights to defend my brother because I hated him for years. That last one made me question myself. They disgust me, and a petty part of me believes that they deserve to be hated for what they did. But another part of me feels bad for making them potentially lose their jobs and pension, especially since if this happened a few years ago, I would have agreed with them over my brother. So, am I the a-hole? There is an edit.
Okay.
But Sam, what are we at this point right now?
No.
What are we thinking?
No, I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah,
of course.
of course.
And if it has like a sibling, or have you ever been kicked out of the house for any reason? We'd
Yeah.
love to know your stories. That sounds super interesting. But as far as OP goes, of course not. Just because OP was an asshole in his past doesn't mean he has to be an asshole in his future. And the fact that the parents were like, you can't defend your brother, you hated him, you should still hate him, is ridiculous.
Like what?
So has no bearing. OP is not the a-hole.
All right, well, let's see the edit. So, thank you for your response and awards. Some of you made me and my brother cry when I showed him this post.
Oh, that's cute.
So sweet. It's a bit sad that strangers online showed my brother much more compassion and acceptance than our own parents, but please know we treasure them greatly. My parents ended up delivering all required legal documents in person a few days after I posted. I had my brother stay at my girlfriend's for that one because he wasn't and still isn't comfortable being around them just yet. They were apologetic, I think. They didn't say much, much. Just told me that they ended up being persuaded to retire early. They still have their pension, though I think it's because of the early retirement. I didn't mention this, but they work with children.
Oh, shit.
That is not a good look. This is why, even though we live in a rather conservative country, them kicking out their own son is something that their employer cannot overlook. We discussed things civilly, or at least as civilly as possible. No one yelled or raised their voice. I apologized to them, not for standing up for my brother. That I will never regret. But I do feel like I could have handled it like an adult instead of giving in to my emotion.
Wow, that makes OP even less the a-hole for
Literally.
admitting that. Because I mean, yeah, that's true. Like maybe you shouldn't have yelled like he did, because what is that going to achieve?
Exactly. You could have said like, hey, sit them down and explain as clearly as possible to try to get them to understand. That's very arguably a better move. They tried to apologize to me about the whole thing, but I told them it's my brother they need to apologize to, and that I wouldn't be having any relationship with them unless he accepts and forgives them. It's hard, and I feel like crap. Parental respect is a big thing in my culture, but right now my brother needs me more than I need to fulfill that cultural obligation. Facts!
Yeah.
I like it. Things are about as stable as it can be. My brother is still going to school online. I told him that we can arrange a transfer now that we have his documents, but he told me he still has friends who stood up for him during the entire thing, and he doesn't want to move away from that support system. It's hard not to be cautious, but I'm trusting him to know how to defend himself and to come to me when he's overwhelmed. I'm working on that in therapy. At first, it was just him, but last month, at his and his therapist's urging, we went to a joint session together. As some of you have noted, I'm carrying a lot of guilt about my past treatment of him. Frankly, I think that guilt is well deserved, but I see now that it has outgrown its initial usefulness, and in the long run, it'll just poison the both of us. Man, very, very mature.
Yeah, I think OP knows himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess all I can say is if you find yourself wondering if you need a therapist, chances are you do. That's all from me and my brother. Thank you all once again for your love and your kindness. Man, I feel like this had a good, as good and wholesome an ending as you could hope and expect.
Yeah, and we don't hope and expect much from these stories.
We
so
don't.
OP really exceeded the line and danced over it. We appreciate you, OP. My husband's sister is trying to set him up with another woman, but what he said next hurt the most.
You know, sometimes it's like, she's just being a good sister, you know? She's like, hey,
hooking it up.
You're with this ugly sack of dookie when you could be with
Brazilian supermodels.
a Brazilian supermodel.
My sister-in-law, 23 female, is my husband's 28 male half-sister. She was the product of their mother's infidelity. His father divorced their mother when he was 12 after he found out through a paternity test that she wasn't his.
Classic.
My father-in-law refused to have anything to do with my sister-in-law, but continued to have a relationship with my husband. Because of this, sister-in-law is very clingy to my husband. My husband is also very protective of his sister and generally doesn't tolerate anything negative being said about her, which is why I'm posting this here before mentioning anything to him. My husband and I bought a house last year which has an indoor swimming pool. My sister-in-law was super excited when she saw it and asked if she could use it sometimes with her friend. We said it was fine as long as she gave us notice before she turned up. Her and her friend Chloe have used it many times before, but almost never when my husband is home. He is a lawyer and works long hours. With lockdown, my husband has started to work from home. My sister-in-law asked me if she and Chloe could come over and use the pool. I told her I was uncomfortable with them coming over as I'm pregnant and don't want to accidentally expose the baby to anything risky. My sister-in-law asked if she and Chloe quarantined for 2 weeks, would they be able to come over? My husband said it was fine. 2 weeks later, they turn up to my house. My husband was in the office, so they go straight to the pool after making small talk. My husband ends up coming out after an hour and we're hanging out in the kitchen. My sister-in-law walks in to get a drink and starts talking to my husband. Before she goes back to the pool, she says, Chloe's gonna be so happy to see you. It was weird because my husband and Chloe aren't close. Chloe comes into the kitchen 2 minutes later and spends the rest of the time talking to my husband until he excuses himself to get back to work. She's super giggly and smiley when she talks to him. He would say something sarcastic and she would laugh like it's the funniest joke she's ever heard.
Oh boy.
It honestly felt like she was flirting with him. Probably. Before she went back to the pool, she gave me this weird smirky look. Like before they leave, they ask my husband if he's working from home every day of the week, and he confirms that he is. The next 2 weeks, they come over to the house to swim every single day.
Oh my God.
Except Chloe never gets in the water. Instead, she hangs around the house in her bikini. She was previously wearing a one piece, if it makes a difference, every single day. Whenever my husband comes out to hang around me, she quickly interrupts him and starts talking until he has to go back to work.
Oh my God.
How'd your husbands? I made lunch for us all, and when I excused myself to call my husband down, my sister-in-law quickly stopped me and said Chloe could call him for me. They shared a look, and Chloe looked really happy when she went out to get him. Chloe has also started to get touchier with my husband. She's put her hands on his chest and arms, stands or sits really close to him. To my husband's credit, he does usually create space between them whenever she does something like this. The reason I believe my sister-in-law is in on this is because she's made a few pregnancy-related jabs at me recently. She told me a story about how one of her friend's boyfriends was cheating on her and then said something along the lines of, did you know a lot of men start cheating when their wives are pregnant? She's also made comments about how I look chubby now, and it looks weird next to my husband because he's quote unquote well built, which is a weird thing to say about your biologically related brother. If she spots my husband out of the office, she quickly goes to inform Chloe. I know pregnancy hormones can mess with a person's brain, so I'm wondering if I'm just looking for something that isn't there. My sister-in-law sent me a text yesterday asking if they could swim next week, and I really want to say no, but I know she'll whine to my husband if I do. I ideally want to have a conversation with him before then, but I'm not sure if I should mention the flirting. Am I being delusional? And John, there's a beefy update coming in.
Okay.
Some beef, but what do you think?
I think it's pretty clear from everything we've seen that this woman is absolutely trying to do it, and the sister-in-law is trying to like sow the seeds of it. Talk to the husband and be honest. This is how I'm feeling.
And I imagine the husband isn't like completely oblivious to what's happening.
Yeah.
I think just have an honest conversation with your husband. He seems like a reasonable dude. I was trying to figure out how I was going to bring up the issue. Turns out I didn't have to. We were watching a movie and my phone lit up with another text from my sister-in-law telling me how she now was going to be here at 1 p.m. the next day to swim with Chloe. My husband saw it and told me to tell her not to come. This is really behavior from my husband because he tends to do anything to accommodate my sister-in-law and very rarely refuses her anything. I asked him if something happened and we shrugged it off and kept watching a movie. A few minutes later, he paused the movie and said he wanted to ask me a question. He asked if I noticed Chloe never swam when she came to our house. I wish I could say it was calm and collected like the comments were advising, but I ended up laughing hysterically. I was honestly so relieved he brought it up instead of me having to be the one to do it. I think my husband thought I was losing my mind. When I finally stopped laughing, he repeated the question and said he wanted a serious answer. I said, of course I noticed. And he awkwardly replied, so you must have noticed the other thing too. To summarize the conversation that followed, my husband hadn't noticed Chloe flirting with him the first few days because he was busy with work. He wasn't really paying attention to anything else. He said when she started getting handsy is when he suddenly had the light bulb moment that she was into him. He says he didn't want to unnecessarily stress me out, so he never mentioned anything. But he was worried I'd noticed too and thought he was interested because he hadn't immediately shut it down. He realized he would eventually have to have this talk, but he wasn't sure how to bring it up. He did privately speak with Chloe and told her he was happily married and wasn't interested in starting anything with anyone else. Apparently, she never took him seriously because she kept touching his strong, sexy arms.
Oh, God.
In the end, he called his sister on Sunday to tell her either to stop or Chloe couldn't come anymore. His sister ended up having a tantrum and said a few nasty things about me, the baby, and our relationship. She insisted I was somehow behind his request and made some comments about how I was controlling and insecure because I looked like a beach whale compared to Chloe, who was younger and hotter. He was pretty pissed at this and said if she said something like that about me again, he would stop speaking to her. She claimed I had baby trapped him, and when my husband pointed out we were already married, so I didn't need to trap him, and that he was the one who wanted to start a family, she kept insisting I had manipulated him into feeling this way. She claimed he was unhappy in our relationship, and he always looked tired because I was forcing him to slave away to fund my fancy lifestyle whilst I sat on my ass all day. He pointed out he chose to be a lawyer, knowing he would have to work long hours, and I had only recently left my job, so her accusations were baseless. She said some other stuff along the same lines, but the thing that made my husband finally snap was when she said the baby, was already ruining everything, and it was just going to get worse when it was born, and he should have dragged me to the abortion clinic while he had the chance.
Oh my God.
He told her neither her nor Chloe were welcome in her home anymore until they apologized for how they've been behaving and for the things my sister-in-law said. He said he wasn't sure he could ever forgive or forget what she'd said about our child, even if she did apologize. And he couldn't believe she would even think something like that, let alone say it. Apparently, she started crying and said she was sorry. She said she didn't mean it and she was just scared to lose him and that she wasn't thinking clearly. He hung up on her and he showed me his phone and that she's been calling and begging him to reply. I want to know what you would think. Would you still have a relationship with a sister? Would you still let Chloe into your life, even though she was obviously flirting with your husband? Put your answers in the comments right now. Should I have said something when some random old guy touched my hair?
You know, that's not something you want old random guys touching.
Yeah, the only thing
I mean?
you want them touching is the space 6 feet under the ground. This happened last week. I, 14 female, was with my best friend Jules, 14 female, not a real name, and her twin sisters, 13, at a Sears, a fast food place here in South Africa. We were coming from the mall where we were with some friends, just shopping and whatnot, doing what teenagers do. While driving from the mall, Jules' mom suggested we go get some ice cream. I was a bit skeptical and unsure, as we had ice cream with lunch at the mall already. And I, for one, am kind of chubby, and I constantly have my parents on my back trying to get me to eat better, which has now brushed off onto me. I voiced my concerns along with the fact that we had to get home since it was pretty late in the afternoon, and my strict parents were bound to get worried. Jules and her mom told me not to worry.
No, it's all good.
And tried to convince me. We eventually pulled up to Steers to get the ice cream. After much consideration, I decided, screw it, I'm just gonna get the ice cream. It's not like my parents are gonna force me to vomit it out anyway. So Jules, her sister, and I got out of the car and ordered while her mom waited for us in the car. Now, I had an afro, as is my hairstyle that day. I am very proud of my hair, and whenever I wear it naturally, I take a lot of time to make sure it's perfect.
Ooh.
I also get a lot of compliments from strangers when I wear my natural hair, especially when it's in an afro. Subtle flex, I know. OP looks good and she knows she looks good. So I wasn't worried when a random guy, about 40, maybe 50 years old, approached me and said, "Your hair is so amazing." I looked to Jules to tell her it was okay. We live in South Africa, which is statistically one of the most dangerous places for women in the world. So whenever a man comes up to us, we always feel on edge.
Oh, wow.
We thanked him and turned back to the counter. We thought that was all. You would think that would be all. But no! This guy then moves right next to me, grabs a bushel of my hair in his hand and starts moving his fingers through it, all while asking you, and I kid you not, is it real? I was in shock. I did not know what to do. I was angry, shocked, and confused all at the same time. It felt like he had his hand in my hair forever before he eventually took it out, took his order, and walked away, muttering how nice my hair was. We all know this dude's creepy. Jules, her sisters, and I just stood shocked in silence until we got ice creams and got into the car. At this point, I started to laugh because the whole thing just felt surreal. Jules' mom asked us what happened, and we told her. She'd been driving at this point and pulled over to look at me as she told me I should have done something. Maybe even shouted at him, "Get your hands out of my hair curls." I'm not great with conflict in public, so for me, this was not an option. Jules and her sisters also agreed. When they dropped me off at home, I told my parents and they were just shocked. I personally don't have much of a problem with this since it's happened to me before. Girl, I do feel that it was disrespectful for the guy to touch my hair without asking. I don't like to let anyone touch my hair unless I know them well, so that bothered me a bit, but only a bit. At some point, you just gotta get used to it and learn to ignore it. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but someone tugging on your hair is crossing the line. So should I have said something to this guy when he touched my hair? Alrighty. Weird situation. So my question is to you. Some old dude goes, grabs a thick chunk of your hair and says, "This feels so good. I love this." What are you saying to this old dude? Put your answers in the comments below. But John, what do you think?
You know, at the end of the day, it's whatever OP feels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Since it's her hair, it's like, all right, if you want to just like essentially, I guess, not deal with it is kind of like the approach. It seems like, all right, just like let it pass.
Yeah.
If that's what OP wants to do, that's what OP wants to do. It's really
It's
kind of
your
as
hair.
simple as
You
that.
could do whatever the frick you want with it. And you also can have people not touch it. Like that's allowed too.
That is very allowed.
Very allowed. Yeah, let us know what you would do in this situation.
Let us know.
I absolutely wrecked an old lady because of my dog's name. 8 years ago, I got a gorgeous chug. Is that like a pug something?
maybe Chihuahua pug.
Oh, I think that might be it.
That's wild.
Chug. While extremely high, I decided the greatest dog name ever thought of is Ask 'em. Because when people ask me his name and I tell them about 50% of the time, they'll awkwardly bend down and ask my dog its name. It's hilarious. What's your dog's name? Ask 'em. I had my fun for the first few weeks, but eventually everyone had just gotten used to the name and the joke faded away. Occasionally, I'll be chatting to someone that hasn't met Ask 'em yet, and when they ask his name, I have my little laugh, but other than that, it's a dead joke. Well, I just moved into a new neighborhood with a great park that has lots of dogs and very chatty regulars.
Very nice.
An elderly lady asked Ask 'em's name and said, "What?" So I repeated myself and she turned to my dog and asked him his name. I quickly explained, but instead of getting the usual chuckle, she became extremely upset and felt very humiliated. Since then, a couple of people at the park have approached me and told me they heard about my joke and that they didn't appreciate pranks in a nice family park.
Oh my God.
Yo, these people can't take a joke in this neighborhood. I honestly don't get it. But since the people that have reacted well to my dog's dumb name have been friends, coworkers, and family, and these strangers are having very different reactions, I'll accept your judgment on it. And there is an edit, but what do you think? Is it a mean prank that should be stopped?
It's not even a prank. It's just like so benign. It's just like, it's like a dad joke.
I absolutely think that the reason for her reaction is that I made her feel foolish, and she undoubtedly thought it was intentional. This is a pretty close-knit community, and she sought support from her friends who took her distress at face value and confronted me about it. The truth is that I say the word Ask 'em multiple times a day. I'm aware that the name originated as a joke, but at this point, it's just a thing I call my dog. When going out, I'm not looking for new victims or inviting people to get tricked, and I wasn't trying to trick her. It was just small talk, and I didn't even think about it until I got a negative reaction. It's been pointed out that elderly people can feel really insecure about their diminishing faculties, and I know from personal experience that it's very true. I really like the idea of posting an explanation on the community Facebook page, especially now that I know its Turkish meaning and that it's a town in Norway and a neighborhood in Sweden.
Nice.
What's its Turkish meaning? My love.
That's great.
That's great. It works on so many levels.
It means my love. I love my dog. Come on.
And you know what we love? We love you. So tell us what you would do in the comments. Also, what are your dog's names?
Yeah.
Or animals' names? We got to get some pet names in this,
Let's
bitch.
go. Best pet name, we'll read it on the show.
And to all my Ask 'ems out there, we love you, and we'll see you soon.
Love you.
My love.